Have you ever asked yourself, self, who am I? In art, anyway. My name is Robert McAfee, and I'm a landscape painter, and I love painting pictures. But even though I've been an artist at heart all my life, I worked in other fields. Well, I worked a long time in the banking district in Canada and in Toronto's financial area. And I've done other jobs. I've been in retail and retail management for many years prior to that. One of the largest photo retailers in Canada. I loved those jobs, and they had lots of rewards attached to them. But I've always wanted to be an artist. And it's a long story, so I won't get into all of that, but I really want to just talk about the paintings today. There came a day when I was able to shed my corporate skin, shall we say, and become a painter full-time. Now, I painted in landscape paintings, and I still do to this day, and I really love it. It's my way of expressing my love and appreciation for things in nature that amaze me, that seem wonderful to me. And there's nothing like being out there with your palette and canvas and paintbrushes and just breathing the air and smelling the scents and occasionally scurrying from a wandering brown bear or black bear. They're always curious, but it's those sharp, sharp claws I just have a problem with, and those teeth. Oh, well, anyway, I digress. Here we are. We're painting. And you may be looking at this and thinking to yourself, gosh, I'd love to be able to do something like that. Well, as a landscape painter, I looked at artists who did this sort of thing the same way. This is abstract. Now, what is abstract? There's all kinds of definitions, but for me, abstract is when you dispense with recognizable shapes like trees and lakes and sky and all those sorts of things, buildings, portraits of people's faces. Well, there are abstract artists who paint those things as well. Abstract is when you kind of diverge from the realism and let it take on shapes of its own. Well, heck, look what I'm doing here. I'm applying paint using an old business card. That's about as abstract as it gets. I've always been a guy who paints kind of like in linear form. I like the vertical lines and the horizontal lines. And even in this painting here, you can see it's a totally loose abstract, but you can see that I'm still kind of stuck with my shapes, my rectangles and triangles and squares. Even with the business card, look at that. I'm still putting out long rectangulars and squares, and I gotta break free from that. So with this painting, I'm setting out to do something that I'm not typically good at. Well, I'm attempting to be a little bit messy and really kind of discombobulated. That's my favorite word, by the way. Discombobulated. I love that. I still remember the day I heard that, and I remember the person who said it, and it stuck with me. It resonated with me because I just want to be discombobulated. I just want to get away from all the rules and the forms and the parameters and the rules and all the things that say it has to be like this or it has to be like that. Well, in life, those things are real, but in art, well, here's your excuse. Here's your opportunity to dispense with all that. I use whatever I feel like using when it comes to abstract. Look at this big old brush. I'm not even sure what it's really meant for. I saw it in the art store, and gosh, it cost a lot of money, but I knew that it could put color on a surface quickly and fast, and so I got it. And this brush, so this is a dollar store brush. I just went to a dollar store and bought one of those little $5 packs of kids' artist brushes, but look at how it just kind of slaps the paint in place. I love that. Because I'm trying to get away from squares and rectangles, you know. So I just want to be able to move the paint around and put it wherever I feel like putting it, in whatever shapes and sizes, and, well, you get the point. Just scribbling it down. So I'm making a point here. And the point is, are you somebody who is from a field of work that is maybe very science or math oriented, or you may be having a very structured life based on the way things have to be in your world? Well, maybe you look at art and you think to yourself, I'd love to be able to do that. I'd love to be able to just cut loose once in a while. It doesn't have to be a career change. You don't have to sell everything and leave everything and go and do what it is you want to do in art. No. It can be just a really serious hobby. It can be a really wonderful outlet for your stress. So maybe you can do what I've done in this case here. This is not some fancy canvas that I bought at an art store. No. This is an old piece of plywood that was kicking around the garage. I sealed it with a little Varathane just to keep it from buckling up and curling, and, you know, wood does that. And I just started to apply color. And the colors that I'm using are left over from my landscape paintings. There's some of that sky blue and some of those rusty oranges and reds. They work. And instead of wasting them and letting them dry up on my landscape palette, I'm bringing them to my abstract. And this abstract surface is a great place to leave paint that otherwise would have dried up and been useless. Maybe you've just come home and you've just done a 16-hour straight shift in the emergency ward at the hospital nearby. Maybe you've dealt with some really stressful situations today. Or maybe you're not an ER doctor. Maybe you're a policeman or a fireman. Or maybe you work in the banking district like I used to, and you may be up to your neck in numbers and spreadsheets and meetings and all the things that come with that. Maybe you need to cut loose too. So find yourself an old piece of plywood, an old piece of wood, or if you got the time and you got an art store nearby, go get a canvas. Why not? Get some brushes, cheapest ones you can find. Who cares? And don't spend too much money on the paint either, because, well, at first you're just going to make a big bunch of messes, but eventually, if you keep working it, keep coming back to it every time you feel like you need a little stress reliever, just come back and add a few more colors to that surface. Just blob it in, just fill it in. Look at this thing. You can see the cracks in the old plywood up there, but they just add wonderful texture to this pure abstract art form that I'm working on. And that's what I'm saying to you. It doesn't have to be anything formal or fancy. It can be just anything. House paint. Just go in your garage and find some house paint from the last from the last room that you painted. Who cares? Just do it. Just put the color on the surface. And over time, it begins to develop into something that has a voice. You might be surprised. It might speak to somebody else beyond yourself. You might be a little shy to show it to somebody, but if you do show it to somebody, you might be gobsmacked when they say, "Wow, that's cool. Can I have it? Can I buy it from you? How much do you want for it?" But more than anything, you will have bridged a gap between yourself and themself, your soul and their soul, and a connection will happen. And that will be very meaningful to you. That will be very exciting, and it will spur you on to do another painting. And for me, it's all about the joy. It's really not about the sale either. It's really about the joy. when you truly take joy in what you do, the sale will come, but then you may not care about the sale. And if that's where you are, that's a good thing, because painting purely for joy is about as good as it gets. Now, if you're into carpentry or whatever, and that's your joy, well, same thing applies. Do it because you love it. Do it because it means something to you. It's a break-free moment. And that's what this painting is, and that's what abstract is to me. It's a chance to cut loose from all the reasons and the rules. And there's my abstract. It's not a bad little piece. 24 inches by 36 inches. I should put a frame on it. Thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate you being here. And at the tail end of this video, I put up a few of my other abstracts in case you'd like to have a look. And if you got time, drop in on my website. It's robertmcafee.com. You'll see it at the end of the video. And thanks for dropping in and spending time with me right here on The Robert Painter on YouTube.